never expected that one weekend would change the way I looked at love, family, and loneliness. My name is Claire. I was 38, divorced for almost 3 years, and living alone in a quiet house outside Seattle. Most days felt the same. Work, coffee, silence. Then, one Friday evening, my cousin Rachel called me. "Claire, can you do me a huge favor?" I laughed softly. "That depends. Is it illegal?" She laughed too. "No, my son Ethan needs to stay somewhere for one night. Just one night. I have an emergency work trip." "Ethan?" "Yeah. He has a basketball camp nearby this weekend." I remembered Ethan, tall, quiet, 16, maybe 17. Now, I had not seen him in years. "Of course," I said. "Thank you." Seriously, that night, I cleaned the guest room. I do not know why I cared so much. Maybe because the house finally felt alive again. Around 7, Rachel dropped him off. Ethan stepped out of the car carrying a backpack. I almost did not recognize him. He looked older, broader shoulders, messy brown hair. Still shy, though. "Hey, Aunt Claire," he said with a small smile. I smiled back. "Wow, you grew up fast." He laughed quietly. Rachel hugged him quickly. Then she looked at me. "He's easy. Just feed him." "I can hear you, Mom," Ethan said. We all laughed. A few minutes later, Rachel drove away, and suddenly it was just me and Ethan. The house felt strangely quiet again. I walked into the kitchen. "You hungry?" "Always." That made me laugh. I ordered pizza. We sat in the living room waiting for it. At first, the conversation felt awkward. But then Ethan noticed an old guitar near the fireplace. "You still play?" "Not anymore," I said. "Why not?" I shrugged. "Life happened." He stared at the guitar for a second. "You should start again." Something about the way he said it stayed with me. Simple. Honest. Nobody had told me to do something for myself in a very long time. The pizza arrived. We ate while watching an old comedy movie. Ethan laughed loudly at every dumb joke. It was impossible not to laugh with him. For the first time in months, my house felt warm. Later that night, the power suddenly went out. Everything went dark. "Oh, great," I muttered. Ethan pulled out his phone flashlight. "This feels like the beginning of a horror movie." I laughed. "Do not say that." Rain hit the windows hard outside. The storm was getting worse. I grabbed candles from the kitchen drawer. Soon the living room glowed with soft candlelight. The moment felt strangely peaceful. Too peaceful. Ethan sat on the floor near the couch. "So," he said. "What? Why did you and Uncle Mark split up?" The question surprised me. I stared at the candle flame. "He stopped loving me." The words came out before I could stop them. Ethan looked down. "I'm sorry. It's okay." "No," he said quietly. "It's not." I looked at him carefully. There was real sadness in his face. Not pity, understanding. That surprised me even more. "You ever love someone?" I asked jokingly. He smiled faintly. "Maybe." "Oh, really?" "She didn't notice me." "That means she's blind." He laughed softly again. The storm outside got louder. Then thunder shook the house. A second later, Ethan jumped slightly. I smiled. "You scared?" "No." "You totally are." "Maybe a little." I handed him a blanket. He wrapped it around himself dramatically. "Thank you, kind lady." Very funny. Hours passed without us noticing. We kept talking about music, school, life, dreams. Then the conversation turned serious again. "You ever feel lonely?" he asked suddenly. The question hit harder than I expected. "All the time." He nodded slowly. "Me, too." I looked at him carefully. "How can someone your age feel lonely?" He gave a weak smile. "People think teenagers have easy lives." "Sometimes I feel invisible." That broke my heart a little, because I understood exactly what he meant. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Only the sound of rain filled the room. Then Ethan looked at me. You know what's weird? What? You're the easiest person to talk to. My chest tightened slightly. I smiled. That's because I'm old and wise. You're not old. I laughed awkwardly. The candles flickered softly between us, and for one strange second, the room felt smaller. Warmer. Too warm. Quickly stood up. I should make hot chocolate. Best idea tonight, he said. In the kitchen, I tried calming my thoughts. This was ridiculous. He was my cousin's son, just a kid. But something about the night felt emotional, maybe because both of us were lonely in different ways. When I returned, with 2 mugs, Ethan was looking at old photos on the shelf. One picture caught his attention. It was from my wedding. You looked happy, he said quietly. I was. What changed? I stared at the photo. Sometimes people change. Ethan nodded slowly. Then he said something unexpected. I think people leave too easily now. That sentence stayed in my mind because he sounded older than 17. Around midnight, the power finally returned. The lights came back suddenly. Both of us blinked. Well, Ethan said, there goes the movie atmosphere. I smiled. Yeah. But somehow, the lights changed everything. The magic of the night faded a little. I showed him the guest room upstairs. He stood at the door. Good night, Claire. Good night. I started walking away. Then he stopped me. Hey. I turned around. Thanks. For tonight. The way he said it felt deeper than simple politeness. I smiled softly. Sleep well. I went into my bedroom and closed the door. But I could not sleep. My mind kept replaying the evening. The conversations, the laughter, the way he listened to me. And then, around 1 a.m, I heard a quiet knock on my bedroom door. My heart instantly started racing. Claire, Ethan's voice said softly, there's something I need to tell you. I froze when I heard the knock. My bedroom suddenly felt too quiet. Claire? Ethan said again from outside the door. There's something I need to tell you. I slowly opened the door. Ethan stood there holding his blanket. But he looked nervous. Very nervous. What happened? I asked quickly. Are you okay? Yeah, he said. I just can't sleep. I relaxed a little. You scared of the storm again? He smiled weakly. Maybe. I stepped aside. Well, come in for a minute. He sat carefully on the chair near the window while I stayed near the bed. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The rain outside had become softer now, almost peaceful. Then Ethan looked at me seriously. You ever meet someone and feel like you've known them forever? The question surprised me, sometimes. He nodded slowly. That's how tonight felt. My chest tightened again. I chose my words carefully. Ethan, emotions can feel stronger late at night. I know, he said, quietly. But this feels real. The room suddenly felt heavy, not dangerous, just emotional. I sat down slowly across from him. You're young, I said gently, and you're going through a stage where feelings can get confusing. He looked disappointed for a second. But then he surprised me again. I'm not trying to make things weird. I just wanted you to know something. What? You made me feel important tonight. His voice cracked slightly at the end. That broke my heart more than anything else. Because I realized this was not about romance. Not really. It was about loneliness. About wanting someone to listen. Someone to care. And honestly, I understood that feeling too well. I smiled softly. You matter, Ethan. You really do. He looked down at the floor. My dad never says stuff like that. I remembered Rachel's divorce years ago. His father had left and barely stayed involved after that. Suddenly, so many things made sense. The sadness in Ethan's eyes, the way he listened carefully. The loneliness. He had been carrying it quietly for years. "You know," I said softly, "when I got divorced, I felt like nobody saw me anymore." He looked up. "Really?" "Yeah." I felt forgotten. The room became quiet again. Then Ethan laughed softly. "Guess we're both kind of broken." "No," I said immediately. "Just human." That made him smile for real this time. A small but real smile. Then he stood up slowly. "I should probably sleep now." "Probably." He walked to the door, then paused again. "You know what I think?" "What?" "I think people need each other more than they admit." I smiled softly. "That might be the smartest thing anyone has said in this house." He laughed. "Good night, Claire." "Good night, Ethan." This time when he left, the room felt peaceful instead of tense. I finally slept. The next morning, sunlight filled the kitchen. The storm was completely gone. I walked downstairs and smelled pancakes. I blinked in surprise. Ethan stood near the stove wearing an apron. "What is happening?" He grinned proudly. "I found pancake mix." "And you decided to risk everyone's life?" "Have faith in me." I laughed for the first time in what felt like forever. Real laughter. Not fake, polite laughter. Real happiness. We ate breakfast together while soft music played in the background. The awkward tension from last night was gone. Now it just felt warm, comfortable, safe. Then Ethan suddenly asked, "Can I tell you something embarrassing?" "Always." "I almost didn't want to come here." "Why?" "I thought you'd be cold and serious." I pretended to look offended. "I am cold and serious." "No," he said, smiling. "You're actually kind." That simple sentence hit me harder than he probably realized, because after my divorce, I stopped seeing myself as kind. I became distant, quiet, closed off. But somehow, during one stormy night, this teenager reminded me who I used to be. Around noon, Rachel finally arrived. The moment she walked inside, she looked exhausted. "Thank you again for this," she said while dropping her bags. Then, she looked at Ethan. "You behave?" "Mostly." Rachel smiled. Then she noticed something. Ethan looked happier. Lighter somehow. Even she could see it. "What happened here?" she joked. I laughed nervously. Nothing dramatic. But Ethan looked at me for 1 second longer. Then normal. Not romantic, not inappropriate, just meaningful. Like we shared a secret understanding.